People in stock photos. What's the weirdest way you've seen your photos being used? His takes place many, many years ago, when foreigners were a rare sight in Japan. I'm a big, friendly-looking white guy, and I was asked to do some photos for a couple on a date. So I go around to some scenic locals with a beautiful Japanese woman, the photographer, and his assistants. Fun day. Took tons of romantic photos, and that was the end of it. Until a month or two later when my date and I showed up on posters all over the subway as part of an AIDS awareness campaign. Because you can catch that from foreigners, you know. Needless to say, my friends and coworkers thought it was hilarious, and amazingly, it didn't have any noticeable impact on my dating life. Looking back, my only regret is that I didn't steal one of the posters. Dang man, they didn't even give you a usage fee. Those campaign ads pay big bucks. Story 2. The university took a bunch of professional photos of me and some friends for their billboards and campaigns. I was pretty surprised to open a handbook and find out I was the face of their fine arts program, especially pottery. I was a neuroscience major. Story 3. Not me, but my younger brother had his picture taken when he was about 9 or 10 for the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. My brother was a really cute red-headed kid with freckles, and they asked my mom if they could use his photo for their promotional materials. A few months later, we get a brochure in the mail with my brother's face on it talking about the Big Brothers program. It was really funny because they had changed his name to Timmy, and in little kid handwriting written things like, "I really need a big brother," and "Have you found me a big brother yet?" And then it ended with, "Love, Timmy." My siblings and I laughed a lot over it and have called my brother Timmy for a while. Story 4. I'm in an ad campaign in my home state in Australia for the government. I'm the face of "Don't buy alcohol for underage people." It's just me looking like a dad who's thinking of buying a drink, obviously for a teenager somewhere. Ironically, I don't actually have my own kids. I get emails from people I haven't heard from in years saying, "I saw you on the wall of the bottle shop," which is kind of funny. Story 5. My husband and I did stock photos when I was pregnant with our first. I ended up seeing myself later on the side of a bus, as well as in a pamphlet for young moms. Flattering. At my doctor's office. The more interesting part, though, is that my husband took part in another family shoot, various poses, cooking in the kitchen, etc. Years later, I was looking up a colleague on Facebook, and her cover photo was her and my husband chopping vegetables in a stock photo. Story 6. I was asked to go to a big opening event party for a park in China. As a foreigner, this kind of thing is pretty common. They want some white faces. Free food and drink, all the other guests had to pay. But in the end, they start guilt-tripping me. Put on this traditional Chinese costume, they say, kind of a kung fu-looking robe thing. Let us take some pictures, they say. Fine, I let them do it. A few weeks go by and random people start pointing me out in public. My students are giggling in class. Finally, when I'm out, someone approaches me. "Are you the guy from..." and shows me a picture on the phone. My likeness in Chinese traditional wear has been printed on building-sized billboards all around the city. I look goofy as F, and I'm all around the city where I live and work. Story 7. I did a stock photo shoot about 10 years ago, and my photos show up in the weirdest places. 3 ex-boyfriends have texted me out of the blue after my stock photo showed up in their work training modules. Someone in my senior capstone class used my photo in their class presentation and didn't realize it was me until everyone kept awkwardly looking at the screen and looking back at me. Every so often, my face pops up in a sassy black lady meme paired with text like, "Devil, don't try me today," or "Too blessed to be stressed. Type amen if you agree." The weirdest, in my opinion, my mom decided to join some crappy MLM makeup company because she was flipping through their catalog and saw that they had used one of my old stock photos as one of their makeup models. I was very obviously not wearing their makeup in the photos, and my stock photo didn't match any of the other models' photos. Basically, whoever designed the catalog was like, "Oh snap, we need some diversity in here." But they were too lazy to actually hire another model, so they just grabbed a stock photo of a black chick and called it a day. The strange thing is that my mom joined the company because my photo was in the catalog, but she had to have known that I wasn't wearing the company's makeup because she personally did my makeup for that stock photo shoot 5+ years earlier. It is a bit weird to be recognized for something you don't use. Old Spice had me model for a few ads last year, and every so often someone might say something, but little do they know, I don't really use their shampoo or their conditioner. Story 8. Not me, but my best friend did. He did a photo shoot in some construction worker garb and a hard hat. We live in North Carolina, USA. I'm on a business trip in Chicago, and I stopped by a Walmart for supplies. I'm in the men's work clothes aisle, and there's my buddy prominently on the wrapping of 50-ish packages of work shirts. It was a weird, wait, where am I? Kind of moment. I knew he did some modeling, but not specifics. I sent him a pic. He had no idea it had been used. The guy is in every Walmart in the country and had no idea. Story 9. When I was 17, a friend of mine asked me if I could help him with some pictures he was working on for a project for college. We used our other friend's attic, and he took a couple of pictures of me in a suit in front of a typewriter. He really liked one of the pictures, and he ended up asking me if I would be okay with him having it be a part of a small gallery show he was doing at the local coffee shop. They often had a small show and then put up the work to decorate the place, and if people were interested, they could buy them. I told them that I didn't mind, and it was cool seeing my picture up at a place we went to so often. Well, my picture ended up actually being bought, which I did not expect at all. So there is someone out there that has a framed picture of me possibly decorating their wall or mantle, which is a bit weird to think about. He gave me a print for myself of it, and it is a pretty cool picture. It's not stock photography, but it's definitely something that's strange for me to think about. That's gotta be weird for the guy. But where's this coffee shop, dude? A little gallery show they put on? That's awesome. I wish to be a part of it. Story 10. My father is a photographer, and so my sister and I were models for stock photography. I was on shopping bags in Mexico. My sister was in a bank brochure. My favorite, though, is when my sister's high school science class was reading from a textbook as she sees a picture of me putting mascara on in a mirror. She yelled out to the whole class, "Hey, that's my sister!" Apparently, it gave everyone a good laugh. On a less funny note, I was a kind of chubby kid, so my dad did a whole shoot of me in a gray tracksuit looking sad on a scale and pinching my belly fat in the mirror, etc. Ended up being used in a child obesity campaign. He didn't tell me that it was used until years later. Story 11. This is the opposite of your question, but still relevant. My parents once went into a print shop nearest to where they lived and saw a picture frame for sale with an oddly familiar looking stock photo in it for display. You know how frames usually come with some flimsy black and white stock photo of a couple or a family or whatever. Except it wasn't a stock photo. It was them on their wedding day. Apparently their photographer had some kind of connection to the shop and had his photos on display there. My parents were definitely surprised to see their wedding pics on public display, but they thought it was cute. Story 12. Not me, but a colleague of mine. He and his wife were given a bunch of outdoor gear to use for a climbing trip into a range in the Rockies. They were accompanied by a photographer, and they used the gear all week while he took photos of them being outdoorsy in it. They got to keep the gear in exchange for being used as models, and they were pretty happy with that. The photographer sold some of the photos to the outdoor company, and he got paid for those, and they got to be in a few gear magazines. You would think that was the end of the story, but the photographer also put the pictures up on a stock photo website and basically forgot about them. Sometime later, the couple is driving up a mountain pass and they get stuck behind a slow RV. They start looking at the scenery on the RV and they start to guess where it is. Then it starts to look really familiar. Then they both realize exactly where it is and then notice that the people in the all-vehicle covering photo is them and their dog living in a tourist area. They continually see these Cruise America or similar RVs driving through town with them plastered all over them. They were one of the most popular RV wraps for several years, and they always had a little fun pointing them out to their friends. Story 13. I wasn't a stock model, AFAIK, but I was a child model. Got picked from a day camp, and they took a 2 series of pictures of me. The first was me measuring a girl's shadow with this newfangled thing called a meter stick. This was about 1974 or so, by the way. The other series was me pretending to eat a salad. They told me it was for a health book, like a textbook health class. That was a long time ago, though, and I love telling people that I was a model, since I'm now 6'2" and well north of 300 pounds. A model, like for the before picture in a weight loss ad? Yep, heard that about 1,000 times. Story 14. Not really for a stock photo, but I was soldering some copper pipe when a photographer asked if I could stop for a minute to pose for a picture for some promotional pictures. They were for a collage of the skills taught in the program I was in. They didn't want a picture of me soldering anything, though. No, they wanted me to pretend I was soldering. I told them, I could actually just solder something for you. They said, no, it wouldn't look real enough. Whatever that means. Story 15. Photographer took a picture on the first day of college with me and my 2 friends. They quit within the first month. I spiraled into depression for the rest of the year and transferred out because I got a job dependent on being in school. 2 years later, as a concussion was making it difficult for me to stay in school, the picture was used in recruiting material at the college. One guy's mother even worked for the college and obviously wasn't on the committee making those decisions. Edit. I was in the picture. Story 16. A friend of ours was in a commercial for herpes medication a couple of years after we graduated college, and we recognized him randomly while watching a show with my mother-in-law. We were like, "Hey, it's our friend from school." We went to a school with strong religious ties, and my mother-in-law is very religious. Right after we said this, my mother-in-law was appalled and said, "Wait, he has herpes?" Story 17. Not me, but my cats. When I was a teen, my mother and I adopted a couple special needs kittens. One had a club foot that was fixed through a series of casts, and the other had a malformed front leg. My mother wanted some professional pictures taken of the little guys, so she took them to one of those mall photo places. The pictures turned out so well that the company asked Mom's permission to use them in adverts. They even blew one up to poster size and hung it in the window. The picture that they used was the kitties sitting in a basket with only their heads poking out, so you couldn't see their legs. Nobody walking by knew that there was anything different about these strange little cats. Story 18. My husband and I are graphic designers. My husband is also a photographer. About 20 or 25 years ago, we were doing a series of brochures, 2-color, for a group of local psychologists. We needed models, so we asked friends and family, and they did know what they were getting into. My dad, in his bathrobe, played the part of the dementia patient. My nephew, who was about 11, played the part of a developmentally disabled child, and his younger brother was the hyperactive kid. I think the final product was a little surprising to them, but it was fun. It's probably time to see if we still have those in the old portfolio. Story 19. Before the 2016 election, my apartment was getting tons of political mailers and pamphlets in the mail daily on who and what to vote for. I was going through the mail one day to see what looks like my roommate on a flyer that supported increasing taxes in order to fund homeless shelters. I was so confused because it was definitely her. Same moles, and she was in an army uniform, never served in the military, and she definitely wasn't homeless. Turns out she'd taken some stock photos for a photographer in exchange for free headshots. We still have the mailer up on the fridge. Story 20. When I got married, we signed the line that allowed the photographer to sell the photos for commercial purposes, not thinking much of it. Unexpectedly, an unhealthy marriage lasted a long 3 months. Story for another post. And about 4 months after the split, a pic of us showed up on the front page of a prominent local magazine. This, of course, led to several people at work leaving, bringing it to my attention. Slightly embarrassing and mortifying at the same time, but I still found the humor in it. Story 21. One of mine is frequently found on the homepage of a major news outlet. I wake up to messages from people that think I did something special. Dozer, you're on the homepage of MSN. Dozer, you're on the homepage of Forbes. I've been on almost all of the big ones. I did not expect any of that when I took the photos. Story 22. I was part of an after-school program in elementary called Scores that combined soccer and poetry. One day, my coach hands me a Scores pamphlet with an action shot of me running along the field with a soccer ball. That doesn't sound all that bad, right? Except it took up the entire page with my early bloomers smack dab in the middle because 5th grade me didn't know what sports bras were. I was surprised they used it, and to all the kids who saw it, they made fun of me. Story 23. I used to lead horseback riding trips in the Rockies. I had this Japanese man come on a ride once, and he took some photos of me on horseback. No big deal, lots of tourists did it. I found out at the end of the season that I was front and center on his tourist brochures selling horseback riding trips, catering specifically to Japanese tourists. Apparently, he promised them that I would personally be their guide. That was a little weird, to say the least. Story 24. This will never get seen due to the number of comments already here, but let me share something anyway. Not exactly a stock photo, but a picture that made it into the local newspaper. When I was about 17, I was in the library working on something on the computer when a guy came up to me and said he was writing an article about the library. Could he take a picture of me on the computer for the newspaper? I'd seen him talking to the staff who were excitedly telling him about the library and its services, so I knew he was legit. So I said sure. The very next day, my photo is on the front page of the newspaper, taking up the top third of the page with the headline, "Local library infested with drug users and child predators." They had a picture of me on the computer with face fully in view for an article about how child predators were using the library computers to look at inappropriate content. Dude, that could not be any more unfortunate. I'm so sorry. That is horrifically awful, embarrassing, sad, and a betrayal. You have to be able to get that off, right? I mean, unless you sign something. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, but thank you for the laugh though. Story 25. I was an operations manager for a performance bike for 5 years, 3 of which were in the North Carolina location. Being that the location was massive and we were close to the headquarters in Chapel Hill, we were generally regarded as the flagship store. This meant we got to be the guinea pigs for new SOPs, displays, etc. And we also hosted a lot of the promotional filming and shooting. One day, they came in to shoot a clip to promote Team Performance, their paid rewards membership. The guy doing the filming decided he wanted me to be the main sales guy in the video. They also ended up doing a photo shoot during the video shoot. A month or so later, we received the new Team Performance flyers that we kept at the registers at every location nationwide. I was the main image, front and center, taking up the majority of the bifolded flyer. They used that image nationally for the next 7 years, all the way until the stores closed this year. I would occasionally see it cropped for use on their website or during various sales too. And I never saw an additional penny for it since I signed a release because I was employed by them. Oh well, at least I still have a stack of flyers of myself for posterity.